3 people on board. The light aircraft that crashed in Nasrec, that's in the south of Johannesburg, have succumbed to their injuries. Our reporter Mnisi is part of our team. Live to us now from the scene of that particular crash in Nasrec. And Linda, it's been quite some time now since the accident itself took place. We're told that several emergency teams are present. How many of them are you able to spot still combing the scene there?
Quite a number of them, Ayanda. In fact, we're told that the scene is still under search and rescue, and that at a later stage then it will be given to the Civil Aviation Authority to come and do their investigations. What we've been able to see so far is that those emergency services that you speak of were asked to exit the scene for a while pictures, aerial pictures of the scene were being filmed. As you can see, a number of them still waiting on the sidelines. We've been placed from a bit of a distance from the scene, at a bit of a distance rather, from the actual scene, because of course there's still investigations, it's still fresh, and that there's very little that police can do in terms of allowing media, as well as the emergency services, allowing media closer to have a closer look at what is happening. But at the moment we're placed at a distance from where we are. We can see the light aircraft itself, but we're not allowed to take visuals of it. There was a chopper that was hovering around, and they were taking aerial shots of that particular scene. At a later stage, what you will be able to see is the civil aviation arriving on scene to try and take those visuals. So in as far as the numbers are concerned and the fatalities are concerned, we're yet to get a briefing in light of that, and get a proper briefing around the number of people that are still on scene, because we understand that those figures that we received are preliminary figures. Nothing has been confirmed to that extent, because the investigations are still at a very, very early stage. So a number of emergency services still on scene there. From what I can see, the spokesperson of the EMS, Nanacha Debechabi, who also cannot speak to us at the moment, some of the communications officers from the SAPS themselves not being able to speak to the media at this very moment. But it is in Nasrec, as they indicated earlier on, just next to Soccer City Stadium. I just want to take you to this side of things to give you an indication of perhaps what it's looking like. A number of emergency service vehicles, a number of them also going back to the scene. They had come out, of course, following that request to take visuals, aerial visuals of that particular scene. So from this vantage point then, what you're able to see are a number of JMPD officials, vehicles, emergency services, SAPS, and a number of other search and rescue officials. So this is what we arrived to early this morning. When we arrived, there was a bit of a touch and go in as far as visuals are concerned, what we can do, how far media can come close, and that is why it has taken a bit of some time for us to come to you live. But now we understand they'll be going in until the Aviation Authority arrives at the scene. In fact, there's really nothing that they can tell us. There's nothing that they can do. But at the moment, what we have is the scene with police officers, emergency services still on scene, really trying to make sure that they, comb through the scene and make sure it's secured for those who are coming to start with the investigations.
Yeah, and of course, Linda, the details around exactly what happened are still scant. I mean, that investigation is still at a very, very early stage, as you've mentioned. But it also looks, from what we are able to see, that the crash itself is quite a distance from any residential area or, in fact, from any busy roads. And, of course, because of that, there isn't necessarily any other complications because of the crash.
Yeah, the JMPD officers, as you would know, they are responsible for really for managing the roads, and they are present, and it seems at this moment there isn't any need really to cordon off or close off any route. You'll remember we're in Nasrec, so what would be a busy road here would be the Soweto Highway, which is right on my left, and it's a bit of a distance. I mean, if you're driving on the Soweto Highway, you can't even see the scene itself. We had to drive around because, of course, emergency service vehicles were there, as well as some members of the JMPD who are ensuring that, of course, traffic is still able to flow freely. No residential area at the moment, because you'll remember in Nasrec, the area is surrounded really by what seems to be old mine tailings, and around that are a number of trees, and that is why even with this crash you wouldn't be able to see it from any residential area that is surrounding Nasrec. So at the moment this is happening right at a mine dump, mine tailing, and which is a bit of a challenge really to access if you're walking on foot, and you can't even drive to it, but obviously you'd need to then park your car here and just walk straight up, and that's where the scene is. I mean, if you look on top of that mine tailing there, that's where the emergency services are. At the moment, they're still trying to talk around how to secure the scene and every procedure and process that needs to follow from there. So at a later stage, then we'll be getting details around what needs to happen in the scene and where exactly it was coming from. I think those are some of the big questions that we have in terms of this light aircraft, where it was coming from. Was it any of the nearby? Was it coming from anywhere nearby, and where was it headed to? So the Civil Aviation Authority then would be able to speak to us on those aspects, because we're told in 15 minutes time they'll be arriving.
All right. As soon as they do, hopefully we'll touch base with you once again, Linda, and get us a bit more information around exactly what happened and, importantly, what the way forward looks like. But for now, thanks very much indeed for letting us in on what you know. Linda Mnisi, live to us there from Nasrec in the south of Johannesburg.